On this episode of A Soul's Quest podcast, Omar and I will discuss the idea of finding your life purpose and passion. Join us as we explore the quest to finding your fulfillment in your life. How you doing?
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You look comfortable.
I am comfortable.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm well.
Okay.
I'm well.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
I don't know. You're the one that leads these conversations. I'm just here.
We're talking about finding our purpose and passion.
Oh, nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought this was good. I think a lot of people struggle with this type of thing.
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, it's, I can see why. Yeah.
Or maybe they don't even know they're struggling with it, but they're struggling with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So, of course, I want to start with a quote.
Mm-hmm.
This is by Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Okay.
If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion.
Mm-hmm.
Your passion will lead you right into your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with that.
What do you mean?
I think that my experience with purpose and passion has been very, in my opinion, I could be wrong. Maybe from an outside perspective, it's not necessarily this, but I feel like still feel like I haven't found my purpose, and I don't know what I'm passionate about. And I will say now, I just realized that I'm wrong, because I do know what I'm passionate about. I do know what I'm passionate about, but I don't know what my purpose is, because I don't know how to apply my passion in real life. And so, my most recent struggles have been, with the fact that I finished school. So now it's like, okay, I'm done with school, done. And at the very nature of who I am, I think I'm naturally an academic. Like, I miss it. I miss being in school. And so I ended up getting involved in taking another course. I'm taking another course that is supposed to help to improve teaching skills, building curriculum, learning objectives, PLOs, etc. And I'm like fascinated by it, which is ridiculous, because who in the hell wants to be in school? But that's what most people would say. But I think there are a lot of people, and I know that we talk about development, personal development, and things like that. So it's really an important facet of my life and my being, right? And it's something that aligns with my values. And so, and I enjoy that. I can't be in school doing something I don't enjoy. You know what I mean? Just like I can't read a book that I don't want to read, because I'm not getting anything out of this, right? And so my experience really has been that I know what I want to do ultimately. You know what I mean? I want to teach. I want to engage with people. I've always sort of pictured myself being in a teaching environment. Let me put it that way, because a teaching environment comes in many forms, right? And engage with people and give knowledge, but also receive knowledge. And that reciprocity, for some reason, it just fills me. Every time I think about it, it fills me with this, like, energy. I get energized with that, Unfortunately, I haven't been able to pursue that interest, because I for whatever reason, within my organization and whatnot. But I see myself doing that. And so I do have a passion, but as far as how it translates into my purpose, I think that's different for me, because if teaching in a traditional classroom isn't for me, because I haven't been able to experience that and actually try that, then what does that look like? And I remember you saying at one point, teaching comes in many forms.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I agree with that, because even when I'm doing trainings, I don't do trainings where I'm the only person talking. In fact, when I do trainings, I'm like, just so you all know, I'm not going to be the only one talking. We're all going to be talking.
Engaged.
We're going to be engaged. We're going to talk together. I don't know everything. I want to learn from you just like you want to learn from me. So, and I love that, because they're just like, oh, okay, well, we thought you knew everything. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know everything, And so, and I thought that was interesting when you said that to me, and it made me sort of think like, okay, so that means that I need to stop thinking linear, like just this is it. But what other opportunities are out there for me that I can pursue, that I can, that will fill that void or that purpose, that is my purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been my sort of experience with it lately. And it's been very, very difficult for me because I think there are times, and we'll go into this a little bit later into this episode, but I've had some of the side effects of not feeling that I'm living my purpose or that I found my purpose and my passion. And we'll, like I said, talk about those later, but I feel those things occasionally. I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm just like wasting time. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Especially since I just got out of school. I mean, I just graduated in December. And so a lot of people are like, give yourself some grace. You've been in school for 13 years, you know, like nonstop, or 12 years nonstop. Like it's okay to read a regular book. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So
purpose is a very interesting thing, right? Because there's a lot of purposes across the lot, even within the scheme of a human life of like an individual, right? Because you have a purpose of being a parent.
Oh yeah.
You have a purpose of being a partner, right? A mother. I mean, a daughter, a son.
You have a purpose of being my personal meme.
Yeah, exactly. I'm your entertainment, right?
Wow.
So there are a lot of purposes that we have across the lot, right? So we all play different roles, and everybody's got their own thing, right? And I remember one of the books that I've read that was really touching is Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, right? And about this idea of finding meaning while he was in a concentration camp, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And that book kind of taught me a lot in terms of life and the things that we take for granted, and the things that we do to keep ourselves alive, right? And striving for more. And living and for the good and ill to perpetuate our life and our existence, right? And now that I'm embarking on this new career, right, we do a lot of exercises to help individuals find their core values, their life's purpose,
to identify what they are.
What they are, right, and their innate skills, right?
Which you have to kind of do to start, right?
Correct, and that's a foundational aspect of it all, because I always known, and that kind of like intuitively. No, let me rephrase that. I haven't always known the path that I was going to take, right, in my life. But I've always known that it was something that had to do with helping others. Right. You know, for whatever reason, that was something that it was always that need to be of service.
Yeah.
Right? Of to be of help, of to be that stuff. And I haven't always known which vehicle I was going to take to get there.
Right, which is what I was just saying earlier. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and the thing is that the idea is to go back, because this is where we get, this is what, when you see that, right? What you said earlier, is that you want to engage with people. You want to share knowledge, and you want to gain knowledge, and then create something from that, right? That right there is your purpose, right? So on a regular basis, you have to take actions, and you have to perform things that gets you that, fulfills that feeling, right? What changes is the vehicle that you're going to use to get that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Because that's the part that truly changes. You know, it changes when it comes to as society progresses, that changes. You know, imparting knowledge as a teacher does has transformed, and it continues to transform to this day, right? But the premise of it all, to impart knowledge into someone, has always been there. There's more flexibility of doing that now than it was before. Right?
Yeah. It's really just a matter of staying open to these different vehicles, if you will,
to these different vehicles, to these different opportunities. But again, so you have arrived, and then again, since we're talking about ourselves, right? But you have arrived at a point in which you understand your purpose and what brings you that bliss, that sense of flow, right? That you're in that part, right? You have arrived at that. You understand what that purpose looks like, right? For those people that haven't figured that out, it's a matter of understanding really your value system, right? And with it, I'll probably down the line, once we're working on revamping the website, I'll probably just do a little session on identifying your values.
No, I'm doing that.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So on doing that, and then working on some little things to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually, I will put something here in the description, and just make sure you make me a note so I could remember to do that, as to different things, a tool that I've used recently to be able to identify my values, life purpose, and all that stuff. And you could dive more into it when you talk to someone. But the idea is that you have to identify that. You have to kind of like come to a place in which you look at yourself and you look at really what you value. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the metamorphosis of the spirit, right? And that idea of being able to let go of societal, cultural, and those values that were passed down to you. Now that you got rid of those, or you have either implemented it, incorporated it into yourself, and you have those things identified, from that point, then you could start creating the pathway and the purpose as to how you're going to proceed your life.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the quest, right? It's been able to look at these different things, progress as you do it, and then arrive at a new place, and then it gives life a zest. And this is what your demeanor when you were talking about it, right? Like look at your body language is like, oh yeah, I love that. It's like, we're all going to do this. It's like, you could sense the difference when someone is on purpose and when someone is on not. Like you could feel it. You could. It's like, look at it. You could sense it, and it manifests. And so, just from that energetic standpoint, you could look at yourself and say, I'm on the path, or I'm not on the path.
Yeah.
Right?
So basically what you're saying is I'm on the path. It's just a matter of finding the vehicle.
Exactly.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Exactly.
And that's basically where I'm at with that, is that and then so navigating that is, that's the difficult part, I think, is to stay motivated, not to give up on that. For me personally, these are the challenges that I have dealt with, and knowing that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when that opportunity arises, making sure that I get that opportunity and take it. You know what I mean? And this and not being afraid.
Exactly. And this is why it's a quest, right? The quest, the whole purpose is to, it's the stamina that it takes, right? The mental stamina to hold on to the vision of what you want, and the feelings and the emotions. Like just read anything about mindset, from Napoleon Hill all the way now to like Joe Dispenza and all this stuff. All Brené Brown, all this stuff about the mental, mindset shift. It's all about setting up a target. Visualizing that target, sensing it, feeling it. That is, and holding on to that when you're going through the ups and downs. You have to be able to hold on to it and see it. It's not a matter of just simply say, oh, I just hope, or whatever. Is being able to hold on to it as you're striving, as you're making small gains on a regular basis, and not getting caught up with the negative mind.
Right. And that's the hard part, is staying in that. Because I think, you have your challenges there. Some days you're really good and some days you're really not.
And this is why, and I keep saying in a lot of episodes, is you got to have your daily practice of focusing just on that. And again, things may not manifest right away, or things may not change 100% right away, But again, it's you have to put in the effort every day, and you have to safeguard your mind,
Safeguard your mind. Yeah. That's a good point, because there's a lot of people who will come for you. A lot of people in a lot of situations that will come for you.
And there's
try your life.
and there's one person in particular that will come all the time. You know who that is?
Yourself. And it's consistent.
And it is consistent. And you can't escape it.
And it is worse than any other experience, anybody. I would say. Yeah.
It is the worst.
We're toughest on ourselves. Then we're our worst critics. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And I mean, I would agree with that, because there's so many times. I mean, even last night, I was in our home office, and I was working, and I was doing some stuff and working on some things for ASQ and doing other things. And you were like, go to the living room and just watch TV and just chill out and relax. And I'm like, no, I have to work hard. I have to do this. I have to be persistent. You were like, just go take a break, whatever. And it was hard for me to do that, because I was like, I worked all day, but I need to continue to work to get to this, to achieve this purpose that I have to achieve. Right. But I also have to be I didn't do enough today. I didn't, I'm not doing enough. It's not, this and that, and all those negative sort of, that noise. The noise, we've talked about that.
Yeah, the chatter.
That is what really gets to you. You know what I mean? It really breaks you down. It really makes you feel like whatever. But I woke up this morning and I did it all over again. And I did a lot of things. You know what I mean? To like, okay, I'm good. I'm in a good place. I'm going to do some things. I'm solid. I'm good. So I would agree with that. I think that's a really significant point, because I think that's a lot of people's issues. Is the noise and the self-critic, inside.
And again, it's like you have to look at yourself and recognize both the critic, right? Oh, let me put it like this in the I'm okay, you okay framework, right? You got the adult, which is the balance out. You got the parent and you got the child, right?
Yes.
And the parent could be positive or negative, but is always there.
Always.
Right? And then the child wants to live on purpose, but he could also be reckless, right? So the adult is the one that balances and creates equilibrium between the two, right? So you have to be able to understand those aspects of yourself.
It's a great book to put out there for people.
It is. Really, it's out there. It's one of my top.
I remember when we first met 22 years ago. You told me to read that book, and I did, and I was like, "This is a really great book."
Correct. Yeah.
So, how do we know when we haven't found our passion? What do you think are the key? Something's wrong here.
My experience, my personal experience, right, is depression. Right?
Is it depression or just sadness? Because depression is a very strong word, and there are people who are really going through depression. So let me put it like this, right? Because thank you for calling me out on that, because I am not a psychologist and I'm not and I don't want to I don't want to put a label on that. You know what I mean? Correct. So
I will tell you this. Okay, so personally, and this is what I had to deal with medically, was anxiety.
Anxiety,
right. So that's one thing on how it manifested in my life. Right. Really anxiety, bad, and but it changed my body. Yeah. So those type of things actually happened. Physically, they manifested itself physically, right? For a lot of people, it could be you hide yourself. You have there's the I didn't do this because this is one of the things that thank God I was somewhat hard-headed enough, but I never really got into drugs or alcohol or things of that nature to try to fill that void. It makes you kind of like bounce around because you have no direction. You don't feel like you're moving anywhere. You feel stagnant. Yeah. There's loneliness that comes with it. There's, then you feel that, I'm a letdown. I'm not successful. I'm not this. I'm not that. You got all those, the dark army coming in to get you in all different aspects, and lack of energy, lack of, lethargic, you want to sleep in. It's like, you have all those horsemen beckoning at your door to do that. Yeah. But yeah, to me personally, it was a struggle, and it continues to be sometimes a struggle, because even though I feel comfortable in my life right now in terms of where I'm going, there's a lot of things that I want to see in place as well. But it manifests itself in that, you know.
So in doing research for this, because I every time I write a podcast episode, I try to do some research and really get some stuff and really kind of align it with because we told our soul questers that we were going to come from our personal experiences and share those things,
I
right?
statements.
So and be I statements and being authentic and genuine about what we're doing, right?
Correct.
And so when I went through and did the research for this, those were many of the what do we call them? I just totally lost the word. Many of the
symptoms.
Oh, jeez, okay. I can't come up with that word. The symptoms of that. So also I came across an article about the effects of I can't remember, but it was a good article. That was like the nerd in me, but I found the article on this, and it was interesting because it was talking about happiness and things like that and whatever, and passion and purpose was a part of the article and whatnot. And that, happiness is a state of mind. And so it went into all this stuff, and it was really interesting. But one of the things that it also said is that, and when they did because it was a quantitative and qualitative, it was mixed methods research, they came up with the fact that most people who allowed themselves or extended themselves grace. So what they meant by this, and let me see if I can make it really short, is that, so yes, you feel tired. Yes, you feel lethargic. Yes, sometimes you're just like, I'm done. No, today. No, don't come for me. Don't mess with me. I'm going to do me. Right. That people that gave themselves that grace and had support that extended that grace as well were more productive in terms of finding that purpose and continuing that motivation for seeking that passion and purpose for their life. Right.
That's correct.
And I know a lot of the times, and I'm talking about this from personal and even for you, because, this is about you and me. And when I'm talking about this is that there are some days when we're just like, I'm done. I don't have anything else to give today. I'm just tired. I need a timeout, you know what I mean? A timeout to just do whatever we want to do, whether that's watching TV or going to the beach or sometimes it's for us, it's cooking and being together and just going for walks. We found this really cool park that's close by. So extending that grace, it's almost like leaps and bounds moving you forward is what I was getting from this. If I was going to take a summary of this article, it was really interesting because I think that we beat ourselves up for things like that. Because we're like, we have to go. We can't stop. We got to keep going.
So, but going back to this purpose point, right? The purpose and the passion, right? Because I think they go hand in hand, right? I think of, I'm trying to think of, like a situation in which personally, I felt like, for instance, doing a soul quest, right? Just doing this whole project and doing this whole new initiative and this new thing, right? I feel energized, right? I feel like when I'm working on it, when I'm writing a blog, when I'm creating a post, when I'm researching a topic, when I'm looking into developing these new skills, there's a certain like liveliness that comes, right? And even when I get frustrated too, that I can't figure something out, that I just curse and you're like, are you okay? It's like the enjoyment of being stuck in something, right? Not figuring it out and getting frustrated, the moment of it. But then, okay, let me keep looking. Let me step away. Let me get my frustrations out, whatever. Let me come back and let me figure it out. And then figuring it out and then just doing a little
I'm glad you told me that. So now I know.
So it's like, even that right there, when you have something, a project, an idea, a concept, an initiative, something that is just grabbing that essence, the soul part of you, you live life differently.
Yeah.
There's very little that could really stop a person once they get into that point.
That's a good point. Actually.
And then
that's a really good point.
That's the part that it makes you feel alive. I remember I used to talk to a friend of ours, to Fred, and sometimes it's like, man, this programmers, they just stay up all night, just Mountain Dew and something, and they just going away, and it's like there's a purpose in what they do. They enjoy it. It's like this is like part of like who they are. Like they just need to get it out,
And as long as you're not hurting ananybody during that process, and you're not taking away, you have a balance.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is one of the things that I always say to people, right? Like people say, "Oh, you just got to work hard. Work hard." It's like, no, you don't have to work. Work hard, yes. Hard work is essential, right? But I defied anybody that tells me that people work hard just for the sake of money. I defy it.
Explain.
Because money is the byproduct. Or you following something that you're very passionate about, right? It's the byproduct of it, and money represents power. It represents status. It represents. It's not the money itself, because you can't eat it. You can't do anything with wealth and all that stuff. You can't do anything except exert power, have flexibility, have freedom, have all these different things that money represents. Right? So let's say somebody like Elon Musk, for instance, who's one of the top billionaires. There's a certain purpose for all the stuff that he does, right? And he lives from that point. But also there are people in not such a grand scheme of things. I think of a single mother, right? Her life's purpose is to provide for her children, to make sure that they're all taken care of, to make sure that they're safe, to make sure that they have a future, to make sure that they have all that. Her purpose is that, right? And yes, she might be frustrated. She might feel angry. She may be like, man, I need a break. But that doesn't stop. And there's so many instances of that example right there that goes without saying. But her purpose, more than anything, and her self-sacrifice is to provide for those kids. Same thing with a couple or a parent or a dad that goes out there and just works on a daily basis so his kids could have a good future. So all these things, yes, there's the feel-good part in which you're following and pursuing your own individual desires and passions, right? And that's what I was telling at the beginning of the stuff, that there are many different purposes. But because on the other side, you have a parent, right, that will do anything for their child, right? Now, not all parents do that, right? But there are parents that have taken that responsibility to make it their purpose to make sure that their child is there, right? And that's a very unselfish position to be in too. We have to look at both like the whole spectrum of it all, right? Of the whole idea of purpose, because there is also within purpose sacrifice.
Yeah, I agree.
Sacrifice and the passion that goes into sacrificing and choosing to sacrifice, right? It doesn't have the appeal of what we talked about. Oh, I'm just following my passion in the grand sense of I'm just living my purpose. But sometimes our purpose is to be a provider. Yeah. Sometimes it was our purpose at a certain point.
It was,
right.
There was a lot of sacrifice to do that.
And there was sacrifice to do that, and that was one of our things. Yeah. Now we at a different stage in life.
Yeah. Because that's the other part. There's different stages.
Exactly.
Different stages, and so your purpose changes.
Yes.
Right. I wanted to touch on that because I think that sometimes we think that it's one thing and that's it, and that's very linear thinking, and that's not necessarily the way that life is, because things change. Life changes. You know what I mean? Let me ask you this then.
Yep.
Another question. Is it too late to find your purpose or to fulfill your purpose and your passion? No. And the reason why, let me expand on this really quick. I remember when I turned 50, one of the conversations that we had was, and I'm still 50, just for clarity, just turned 50, is that I was telling you that this is awful. Like, I'm 50 and I haven't found my purpose and my passion. I don't feel like I'm living from this place. And I just wanted to enjoy the second half of my life, because now we're not talking about, okay, I'm going to live 50 years or whatever. I have no idea. And I had mentioned that to you, and it wasn't that you came up with an answer for me or that you said, oh, well, don't think that. It was my own sort of just statement. You know what I mean? Of, is it too late? And it's something that you and I have discussed, or like we've said it in the past. So I'm 44 years old and I'm this and that. Oh, I just put out how I'm older than you, but really you're older than me.
Whatever.
Anyway,
keep going.
So I feel like that's been a big factor for us in some of our discussions is, oh man, I'm 44 and I haven't done anything with my life. I haven't found my purpose. Is it too late? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
This is a story worth telling, right? Because I was actually...
Make it a quick story.
Yeah, make it. Okay. I'm going to make it quick, right? Because I saw this the other day. Do you know how old Colonel Sanders from KFC was when he started KFC?
He was like wasn't he in his 60s or 70s?
He was like 65-year-old.
Yeah.
See, he was like 65.
Yeah.
You know, and then he was, and I heard he's like, he was writing down the reasons why he shouldn't live and all this stuff and the things that he was good at. And then the whole chicken thing came about, right? Like KFC came about from a 65-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And the question about that is, number one, to answer that. No, simple answer is that it's never too late to find your purpose, right? Number one. Number two is, realize and recognize that as you progress throughout life, right, your purpose changes, right? When you were younger, your purpose was to find a career or find a way to live in a society, right? I have a self-identity, and have a way to be a contributing member of society. Right? As you progress and you become a young adult, it was about, for most of us, it was being able to find a partner, right? Find a group that you belong to, you know, maybe raise kids, maybe raise a family, or continue to start a business and things like that, right? You know, then after you continue later on is, okay, well, I've done all that. I've had the profession. My kids are grown up. All that stuff. Then what's next?
What now? Yeah.
What now? Right now it's like, okay, well, I could start something new. I could change my career. I could give something away. I could find that, right? The cool thing about, what I envision with this Soul Quest thing is that it's like when you see the progression of your life and you go back, you can look at all the different purposes that you had. And then the evolution of transforming and finding another reason for continue to live. Right. Because there's so much out there, even after a certain point in life. It may not be the life that you wanted or ideally how you wanted, but it was the life that was developed and came from you. So you should be thankful for these experiences. But at any moment, you could always switch it and you could always change it.
True.
Because you are the writer of your story at the end of it. And that's hard and it's challenging, because trust me, it is hard and it's challenging personally speaking, making those transitions and making those changes and adjusting and then not feeling good enough. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. It's like if you take all that and you put it aside and you start listing all the things that you have done and where you are, and even if you have 2 or 3 or 4 instead of, and some people have a lot, some people have less. It doesn't matter. You're not playing against anybody. Right?
No competition.
It's like you're here now. And then, so from here now, how do I want to live? What can I do? You know, how do I find, how do I create and establish a purpose for myself that brings me passion and enjoyment in my life? Right.
And aligns with our values.
And aligns with your values.
Yeah. Which I'm going to do that whole values thing. So that's going to be a good thing.
That will be excellent. Yeah.
So, all right. So to wrap up this episode, we talked about the importance of finding our purpose and our passion. And we talked about some challenges that arise during that quest. So to assist our soul questers and our audience in overcoming these obstacles, we have 5 strategies for overcoming or what to consider while pursuing discovering your passions and your purpose. Okay. So number 1 is to take action. Bottom line, taking action. Sometimes the best way to overcome an obstacle is to take action. Break down your goals into smaller, more manageable steps and focus on one step at a time. Taking action can help you gain momentum and build confidence.
Excellent. Seek support. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Seek out a mentor or a coach who can guide you and provide support as you navigate through the process of finding your life's purpose and passion. Joining a community or support group can also be helpful.
That's right. Practice self-care. It's important to take care of yourself both physically and mentally, which we had alluded to earlier. This includes getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising, and practicing stress management techniques such as meditation or yoga. When you feel your best, you're more likely to stay motivated and focused.
Embrace failure. Yeah, embrace it. You should definitely. Temporary defeat.
There you go.
That's what Napoleon Hill says, right? Failure is a natural part of the learning process, and it's important to embrace it rather than fear it. Don't let setbacks discourage you. Instead, use them as an opportunity to learn and to grow.
That's a good one. And finally, stay flexible. Remember that the journey to finding your life's purpose and passion is not always a straight line. It's not linear. It's okay to adjust your goals and plans along the way. Stay flexible and open to new opportunities and experiences, and trust that everything will turn out okay in the end.
That is so true.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Comment below with your thoughts and additional ideas, and remember to stay connected by sharing and subscribing.